Hey folks, it is Martin Luther King Day, and you know what that means. It's going to mean a lot of fools out here who are trying to misrepresent that poor man and his legacy, the way that he lived his life. And so because of that, I wanted to come actually give you a few book recommendations. And the first one is going to be A Testament of Hope. Okay, you see that? Testament of Hope. And what A Testament of Hope is a collection of all of Martin Luther King's books, a number of his speeches and his interviews in one place. And his books are, each of them are relatively short on their own. You know, I know that this looks like a big brick of a book, but remember it has the speeches and the interviews in there as well. His books are all relatively short. And they're phenomenally written. He was a phenomenal writer, no shock, right? But you can track, one of the nice things about this is that you can actually track the evolution of his thought throughout the actual process of the civil rights movement. So what he was learning as he was engaged in that fight, and then also the other part that's important here is you can see where he's come to and what he's evolved to once the civil rights legislation passes through Congress, once the Voting Rights Act passes through Congress, and what he's thinking about where do we go next and what do we do next. And I think that's important because there's a significant thing that happens. And when he's looking at that initial part of the mission and saying, okay, these are victories that we have won. Now, where do we go? And after that civil rights legislation was passed, after the Voting Rights Act was passed, he says at one point, I fear that I have integrated my people into a burning house. And what he's talking about is that the culture and politics of the nation makes it unsustainable. It just makes it unsustainable. And that's why he comes out and he advocates against the Vietnam War, and he starts getting involved in labor organizing, right? And that's where he's killed, is supporting sanitation workers in a strike in Memphis. And so being able to see his evolution, being able to see what his actual thinking was, the man spent his time to record it and make sure that it was communicated to us as clearly as he could. Yes? So that's important, because then it's really hard if you understand that, you take that time and dedicate the time to understanding that, it's very, very hard then for people to misrepresent him to you and confuse you about what it is that he was actually about and what it is that he actually believed and all of that. And the other one is the autobiography of Martin Luther King by Carson Claiborne. And again, same thing. The more that you know, the harder it is for people to take advantage and to confuse you, basically, to manipulate you. And then I have one more last book, and it is The Collected Essays of James Baldwin. If you follow me on social media, you know that I suggest this very regularly. And that is, I'm suggesting it this time in relation to Martin Luther King for a very specific reason. And that is that he was very close, James Baldwin was very close friends with Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, and Malcolm X. So over the course of the civil rights movement, the man lost three very good friends. And you can see a change, again, an evolution in his writing over time. And the reputation that has been kind of attached to Baldwin is that later in his life he was too angry. And I think that, especially again, people who are melanin challenged, uh, really should contend with that, because if you actually read Baldwin's work, like Dr. King, there is that evolution. Yes, his thinking changes over time. It progresses. He's taking what he's learning and applying that to those new moments, the time that is that moment. And I think that we need to come in contact with the fact that the man lost a number of close friends, people that he loved and cared about in the process of the civil rights movement. He was continuously invited to speak, to give interviews, to participate in debates. His books were treated like cultural moments. Like it was there was a point when a new Baldwin book was a thing that if you were doing any kind of journalism, any kind of work in culture, you had to engage with what Baldwin was saying. And yet at the same time, we end up coming to this reputation that he was too angry. And we really need to contend, again, those of us who are lacking in melanin, right? We need to contend with what it means to ask someone to do that when he's had that experience. When he's had the experience of losing so many people that he cared about very deeply in the process of the civil rights movement, watching what the civil rights movement is and what it takes to just get the civil rights legislation and the Voting Rights Act passed, right? And then to keep asking him to come talk to us about this thing while he's watching how little things actually change. And the other reason that I'm suggesting Baldwin in connection to Martin Luther King specifically is that both men were very clear in the fact that they believed that if the United States did not deal with racism, and if we did not deal with the connected problems that help to support it and foster it, and that it helps to support and foster, right? It was going to be the end of the nation. And I think that if we look around right now, we are proving them correct. That they correctly assessed and diagnosed the situation. And so I think that their work is important to engage with. And other than that, there's not really much I want to say about Martin Luther King Day. It is not a day I feel very celebratory about, because I am awake, I am conscious and aware the other 364 days of the year, and I am I am witness to the degree to which we talk about Dr. King as an exemplary American, and the way that we talk about him as an exemplary human being. And then we try very, very hard not to follow that example. So it's always just a bittersweet day. I'm grateful that he was here. I'm grateful for the work he did and for the work that he left us, right? His books, his speeches, our ability to follow his evolution of thought. I'm grateful for all of those things, but it's always bittersweet because of the way we have abused his legacy and misrepresented him, and just the way we've deluded ourselves about all that. So I hope you all have a decent day. And yeah, that's about it.